TV, bringing you the true and independent view.
It is time to have a new conversation about our community, our history and heritage, our fighters and heroes. Time to highlight opportunities for growth within our community, home and abroad. This is Black ethnic minority stories told by real people. This is The Mint Show.
Rivers State, economically recognized as the center of oil business in Nigeria, has, under the leadership of Governor Ezenwo Nyesom Wike, experienced unprecedented development across various sectors of the economy. What is the inspiration of this governor, fondly called Mr. Project?
Go to the city and see what is going on. And so you will not blame Mr. Vice President for calling me Mr. Project. For me, if you know Rivers State before, in those days, Rivers, they used to call Port Harcourt the Garden City of Nigeria. And then you ask yourself, why is it no longer called the Garden City of Nigeria? What has happened? So, for us, we need to do everything to bring back that name, that lost glory, that Garden City that the country used to know.
In partnership with global sports brand Real Madrid, Rivers State has built a world-class football facility in its capital city, Port Harcourt, where young talents have the opportunity to be successful in sports and at the same time further their education.
The aim of this project is to provide for the youths, to secure the future of our youths. And it is born out of the very deliberate and benevolent gesture of the governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Chief Barrister Nyesom Wike.
Road networks aren't left out, as the government is currently building 3 flyovers simultaneously. For a state that is mostly waterlogged, this is a great feat.
I've gone to so many states. I see some states do a kilometer road of 200 million naira. Nobody can do any road in Niger Delta. A kilometer road of 1 billion, it's not possible. Because it's a coastal area. It's a swampy area. You need to sand fill. You have to put a sand stabilizer. You have to put stone base. Before you now talk about putting the 2 layers of asphalt, the banding costs and the wiring costs.
But Nigerian is known not to have maintenance culture. It's one thing you putting these things in place, another thing maintaining them.
Well, it also depends. That's why we have chosen to use one of the best construction firms in this country. That's Julius Berger.
Behind me is one out of many other infrastructural developments that the state government has put together or is currently working on. This is the Ray BC flyover in Port Harcourt, basically to decongest the area and make it life basically a bit more easier for people to live.
I've been here for so long, for many years now, and we know the nature of this particular road. So the work ongoing here by the Rivers State government is a nice one. Well, I could remember when there used to be a lot of hold up here, and there is nothing like turning points. But I am seeing 2 turning points now, which will make the road very, very accessible.
In the next 10 years, I'm not talking about trying to, put back the roads in order. There's no road that the better will do today that you say you need to reconstruct in the next 10 years. No. But there are companies you give to the road. In the next 6 months, 1 year, everything has washed away.
In the heart of the state lies one of its most important projects, an ultra-modern mother and child hospital, a huge win in the fight against maternal mortality in Nigeria.
This is the Mother and Child Hospital, built by Rivers State government, by the present administration. It is a 258-bed capacity hospital that is supposed to handle maternal and child ailments and treatments. The facility is made up of, where we are now, the CT scan room. We also have radiology area where you have X-ray, both fixed and mobile. We also have facilities for mammography and others. And then ultrasound scan. We have them in different rooms. Each of the beds, each of the areas are supposed to handle different ailments, different sicknesses for women and children.
Next time you visit the state capital, you might want to check out the Evergreen Pleasure Park, a recreational masterpiece.
We have different facilities in the park. Like the one we are using now is called the boat ride. Families come in both weekends and weekdays just to relax and have a ride in the park. We have the climbing tower, which is about 15 feet above the ground, which families also come in. They love using it. We have facilities for kids. Like we have the train ride for kids. We have the swimming pool for kids. We call it the kids boat ride. We have a lot of facilities. We have the carousel. We have the playground for children. We have the bull rodeo. We have a lot of facilities that makes it comfortable for both children and adults. And we have a very good restaurant called the Michael Garden Restaurant, where people come in both to have events, so it's a very beautiful place and a sight to behold.
Governor Nyesom Wike doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. And with what we have seen, there are definitely better days ahead for the people of Rivers State.
It is time to have a new conversation about our community, our history and heritage, our fighters and heroes. Time to highlight opportunities for growth within our community, home and abroad. This is Black Ethnic Minority Stories told by real people. This is The Mint Show.
Welcome to The Mint Show, the table shaker platform, where we bring you the good, the best, the bad, and the ugly of the Bing Group, particularly about Africa. We want to find out from the table shakers, is it all bad news from Africa? If it is, let us find out. If it's not, we'll show you why. Okay, so thank you for coming, guys. Today I've got with me Andrew Okereandrew, 26-year-old, fresh graduate of MSc Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering, moved to the UK September 2019. And on our second hot seat, we've got Octavia, 27-year-old accountant, born in Sierra Leone, experienced the 1993 war, and moved to Gambia and then to the UK permanently. Octavia has not been to Africa since then. She moved to the UK at the age of 7. We've got Ofuje Adenini, 34-year-old dad of 2, data analyst, moved to the UK 3 years ago, 2017, I guess, right? Right, okay, so thanks for coming, guys. I wanted to talk to Octavia first. You've got a fascinating story going by how you found yourself in England. So tell us about that. You're a Sierra Leonean?
Yes. So I was born in Sierra Leone, and I have really fond memories of my childhood. Actually, I still dream about it. Like, it was just, for me, one of the best times, and I think every child should experience how I experienced growing up. Because in Africa, one of the things you have is a community, and everyone is your family, all your neighbors are family. And I remember as being a young child wandering just by myself, going to neighbors, just hanging around with them, laughing. And yeah, I just loved that. And then, of course, we moved to the Gambia following the war. But it's really strange because, like, my memory of this time was, like, it's still very vivid in my head of when like the shoot, because the area I lived in wasn't particularly affected, but we could still hear like the gunshots and things like that, and we still had to like get on the floor when you weren't sure what was happening. And for me as a child, like it didn't really feel real, and even moving to Gambia, it wasn't really something that I thought too much about. It was just like, oh, we're going to a new place. And when I think back on it now, I realised that we were actually refugees because we were staying in a camp where there were other people living there, and I remember the toilet being outside, and that I'd never experienced that kind of lifestyle before, because when I was living in Sierra Leone, my granddad had a good amount of money, like he was a doctor. So yeah, like living in Gambia and having to go outside for the toilet and how disgusting it was, and like struggling for like, I remember I have a very funny memory actually. When I was in school there, my aunt who I was living with, she had to dye my socks brown because she couldn't afford to buy me brown socks. And yeah, it's just like, honestly, I'm just so grateful as well where I find myself now, because my mum had to work so hard. So my mum she was born in the UK. She was born in Manchester. Her parents had her when they were in university. So then they moved back there, but she always had a British passport, so it was quite easy for her to come over. Also, she was a nurse, and back in those days, like they were allowing nurses from Africa to come over, so she found it quite easy to come over. And then she brought the rest of us over, and yeah, the rest is history. So yeah.
Right, okay. So tell me, if she had access, being a British citizen at the time, had access to the UK, why couldn't she just move the family direct to the UK rather than having to be a refugee in Gambia?
I mean, I don't know too much about the detail, but I do know it's still not easy to come into the UK. So although she was able to come over quite easily, she actually had some issues bringing my dad and my brother and I over. And it took, I'm not sure, it felt like a long time, because I remember she was here and then some issues happened, and then my dad came, and me and my brother were living with family members separately, and then I came, and then later on he came. So it wasn't an easy process for her. And also like the matter of where you're going to live and all of that stuff, and yeah, so it wasn't an easy process. It's not so simple to just bring someone over.
Right. You mentioned you're quite grateful where you found yourself now. I think that will bring me to the next question. I mean, coming from where you coming from, and then Andrew and Ofuje, you guys are Nigerian, I guess. Right, okay, so do you think the UK offer a better opportunity generally, and why? Andrew?
That's a very good question, but I would say I've always seen it as in two ways. I would say the UK has opportunities because I would say it's more developed, and it has, when you come here, but first of all, if you come to the UK and you want, should I use the word, a white-collar job,
right,
you have to go to school here. The Nigerian certificate means absolutely nothing here. That's what I would say. So that's one thing you have to put in your mind and make sure that you'll be able to do that if you want a white-collar job. I would say I've seen opportunities in the UK. I would say the UK is a beautiful place to stay, but for me, he might have a different opinion.
Right.
But for me, my opinion is that I feel Nigeria has more opportunities than the UK. I feel there's more opportunities in the sense of job creation in Nigeria. If you can see a need, there's a lot of needs. And now speaking from my engineering brain, is that we have been taught that if you can identify a need, then you can render service on that need. And I can see, coming here, I could see a lot of things going on here that's not here in Nigeria. And if someone can get that idea, and especially someone in diaspora here that have had the experience and goes back to Nigeria or any country in Africa, I tell you, the person will have more opportunities making it there. And funny enough,
would they give the room though? Because it's one thing to see the opportunity, it's another thing being given that chance to actually make it work. So in Africa, do you actually think that whatever opportunity you might feel that you've found, in quote, you could actually make it happen or bring it to life?
And it's the funding too.
Yeah, the funding can be one part, But I feel that there are some countries in Africa right now, especially looking at Nigeria, there are some areas where I feel you can go into and you can excel. There are some areas that have been, I would say, because there are certain powers that do not want that, I'll say that sector to excel. You might find it's a struggle there. But when it comes to areas like, let's say, manufacturing, it comes to areas like production in a whole, I feel there are a lot of areas there to explore.
Right.
And it's one of the things I look at to
Ofuje, well, what's your opinion?
I think totally different to what he's saying.
Right.
I feel totally different, like in terms of like opportunities, in terms of just everything in general, stability and all that. I feel totally different to where it's coming from. Different experiences, starting from having a Nigerian educational system and all that. I have one, I think. I have a psychology background. I think when I moved there, like in less than a month, I had maybe 3-4 job offers.
Okay.
White collar job offers. So
well, would you say it's because probably that sector you're in?
Not necessarily.
It's probably jobs in demand.
I work in travel insurance
at the moment. But you say you mentioned you've got a psychology background. So would you say that's because that sector, the jobs there, it basically is in demand? The UK probably don't have enough skilled professionals for that particular sector. Would you say that would be why you had such offers?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like there were not even offers relating to psychology.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's just a thing of being able to sell yourself.
Right. Okay.
You know, irrespective of what background you're coming from and all that. So it's just being able to sell yourself. So in terms of like opportunities and all, I kind of like disagree.
Okay. So you think there's more opportunities here in England than back in Africa?
Yeah, technically, because people have to be receptive to change. People have to be receptive to wanting to do something different. People have to be receptive to not exactly wanting the status quo to remain the way it is, which back.
But don't you think it's probably a bit saturated in general in Europe, in the UK, in the US? It's probably saturated when it comes to opportunities. A lot of people can do what you can do, right? Based on the educational background, the experience, the professionalism. Compared to Africa, not a lot of people have access to what you have access to. So in that sense, do you not feel what Andrew was saying, that there's more opportunities? There might be constraints, there might be restrictions as to bringing those opportunities to life, but if you will, from your perspective,
when you say opportunities, we have to look at it from two different views. It's that thing of it's a thing of the now, and it's a thing of the future. So if we're talking about like the now, in your 30s, you're trying to live, you're trying to make ends meet. Like we're talking about now. If we're talking about like, what can be, then we're looking at the African, because obviously the African continent is going to come into power too sometime. The way power is moving from the west to the east at the moment, at some point Africa is going to come into power also, be the main continent, be the leaders of the free world, whatever it is. But
in your opinion, though,
no, it would happen.
if they let say Africa, if African leaders or generally world leaders let that happen, I think it depends on the positioning.
No, it would happen. It's it might not be in our lifetime,
right? Okay.
But it would happen. It's it's just cultural shift. It was the West. There was the slavery, everything, and now everything goes through the East. Everything goes through China. But with
so
time.
You think it's coming back?
With time.
It would get to...
With time. It started off with us. So it started off in Africa.
Not when leaders around... Well, leaders in Europe in general are still in control of Africa, though. Because people would say what's going around at the moment is the fact that Africa is not completely independent yet. So if we're looking at it from that point of view, how do you think it would then come back to the hands of African being in charge?
I think the big issue is that at the moment we have Chinese coming and developing the roads of Africa in African countries, and they're doing it in the nighttime, so Africans don't see how to do it themselves. That dependence on other countries is just growing so much that now they are developing Africa, but actually it seems as if Africa is growing as a country, but we have so much debt to these other foreign countries that technically they own us.
Yeah, but
and I think that's the scary part of it. Africa is a growing nation, and Africa has a lot of potential, but the Africans themselves are too reliant on outsiders to help to develop Africa, and that is the issue. And actually, I was saying this to my friend the other day. What we need is, and I think some countries do have it, like a sort of scheme where the governments fund students to go abroad to study and bring back the education and help to develop the country. And it's you have to work up to a certain amount of period before you go back out.
In saying that, touching on that point, Ghana, I think, is actually doing something like that at the moment, where they're doing a sort of brain game, bringing back Africans or Ghanaians that are expatriates in their fields in different parts of the world, encouraging them back into Ghana. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, and I think that's very important. I think Africa needs to be developed by Africans, and at the moment we're being developed by everyone else. And the sad part is, as an African myself, who I did study economics but ended up going into accounting, I would have liked to go back to Sierra Leone, because Sierra Leone has so much. Sierra Leone is, in my eyes, is such a beautiful country, has so much potential for tourism and everything else, but it's one of the poorest countries in the world, and it doesn't make any logical sense to me how that is even possible. And I feel like we need people in power who understand the potential that their country has. And right now we have people that are just trying to make money. They're treating it like it's a business. It's not a business.
It is time to have a new conversation about our community, our history and heritage, our fighters and heroes. Time to highlight opportunities for growth within our community, home and abroad. This is Black ethnic minority stories told by real people. This is The Mint Show.
Mint TV, bringing you the true and independent view.